Something is happening that the mainstream media is not even covering the way that it should. Quietly and steadily,
Mm,
Black American families are literally fleeing America. Can somebody
as
reference
they should.
Jeremiah 50 or 51? We would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed.
Cannot be saved.
And, everybody is exiting as fast as humanly possible. They're packing up, cashing out, selling their homes, getting their insurance policies, getting their businesses off the ground, transferring them abroad in a way that our grandparents, quite honestly, could only dream of. Like, this life was not attainable for them in the
Hmm.
1920s and 30s, and definitely not prior to that. And they're going back to Africa, not for vacation, but for sustainability, like permanently, if
Mm.
possible. And the three countries leading this way, well, they're none other than Ghana, Kenya, and Mauritius. But this isn't panic. This isn't running away. This isn't just jumping up overnight and just saying, hey, I'm going to just go over here, then I'll be back to America. No, this is a generational decision that married couples are making, retired folks are making, families are making, entire families with multiple generations who are
Hmm.
saying, you know what, it's time for me to exit so that I can have something to pass down to my children's children. Because according to studies now, it's quite frightening. In America,
Yeah.
the Asian population is projected to be worth, on average, $950,000 in the next 10 to 15 years. The Hispanic and white populations are projected to be between 100,000 and 300,000 in terms of average wealth accumulation. But Black Americans, it's not even zero, it's actually negative. And so the people that are fleeing, the remnant that are fleeing, are making the best decision possible that most Americans, Black Americans, won't even get the choice to make.
Yeah.
The remnant is choosing to exit America for good.
Yeah, as they should. Smart money investors, smart money people, the people that has wisdom, the people that has discernment to see what is going on, the people that can see that Donald Trump do not have to pay, or his whole lineage does not have to pay taxes anymore, or the IRS cannot go after them anymore. Just think about that. Think about that. America's changing so fast behind the scenes, but if you're not keeping up with this, because I know everyone has a day to day life, just trying to make ends meet, working 2 to 3 jobs and still behind. So, this is why we say the right country that you choose, and I say the right African country, is going to help you in the long run because the cost of living is going to be so much cheaper. You know, it's so much. It's so much that's going on right now that you really, really need to make this move sooner than later. Because if you wait too late, as you see, flights is already up. Too expensive. That we're hearing from people that was looking at flights about what a week ago. They were saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna actually go to this place and then come to Africa because it's cheaper." Now this week they're saying, "Wow, it jumped up so much." It jumped up, I want to say a couple hundred, maybe $400
Yeah.
since last week. So, yeah, things are changing fast, but the people that is moving now is the ones that's going to be, sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, because we have to be honest about what's driving this movement. And then we'll get into these top three countries that Americans are fleeing to in 2026, which are, again, Ghana, Kenya, Mauritius. We're going to get into the residency processes, their best cities, all of
Mm,
those wonderful things. But we need to talk about what's driving this. Because in the United States of America, the cost of living has become impossible for millions of people, not just
mm.
the African diaspora, not just Black Americans,
The middle
for
class,
millions of people who are
yeah,
white American, who are Hispanic, who are Native American, everybody that goes over there, even the South African white folks, the descendants of the Dutch
right?
that are there, are now citing that, hey, it's a little bit pricey over here. But hey, I guess we'll figure it out. It's not exactly like South Africa that we come from. Then don't even get started on home
Hmm.
ownership. Once the cornerstone of the American dream is now untouchable for this generation, especially if you're a millennial, especially if you're a Gen Z,
Ooh,
or if you have family that is in those two generations. Then, of course, we already spoke about the racial wealth gap. It is not closing, it is widening. Black
hmm,
people are getting poorer faster than ever before. And one reason is because of AI. It's a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of skills, but it's also a testament of the judgment that's upon America and what happens when you do not become set apart, when you don't leave the wickedness, when you don't leave places that are destined for judgment, then unfortunately you're destined to go down with it. Let's also talk about the political climate of America as well, because it feels increasingly hostile, even from all the way over here. I'm on an
Hmm.
island in the Indian Ocean, but you can still feel the hostility that America has, especially when we speak to our one to one
Yeah,
clients, okay?
yeah.
We can still feel it from all the way over here.
Sometimes be speechless, to be honest. They be saying what they're going through, how they're dealing with groceries, how they're dealing with bills and, mortgages and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know what to say because we over here, our cost of living, I keep saying it, it's so much cheaper. We are a family of eight, guys. And this is how we are being sustainable. This is how you can too. Like, just a couple with a couple children. I'm telling you, your cost of living will be so much cheaper.
Yeah. And then also think about the fact that schools are underfunded in America.
Oh man,
Understand Cleveland, Ohio
on every
is
single
going through
level.
something right now that has never been seen ever before in Cleveland's history, but it is going to dictate the fact that it's going to become like some of those cities down in Alabama, down in Mississippi that are abandoned. You're going
Yeah,
to look
a
at
band.
Cleveland,
Yeah,
Ohio in a couple of decades and see, oh,
exactly.
this city has been abandoned because once school systems close, once teachers aren't getting paid, once they don't need teachers anymore,
Hmm.
kids are the lifeline of a society. For those in America that think otherwise, well, you're about to have your wake up call. And this is why you start to understand that America is actually done. This is not just a provocative headline. This is real life for families. It's a lived conclusion. Now, by contrast, Africa is rising rapidly. It's insane, actually, because if you look at the wealth gap and you look at
Hmm.
what's happening on the continent of Africa, Africans are getting richer, they're getting wealthier, they're not getting poorer. And so you must say, how do our people who are on the other side of the world, how are they able to acquire more wealth, more land? How are they able to have a sense of freedom, have a sense of organic food and organic lifestyle, keep
Hmm.
repopulating, higher marriage rates, having more children? These are all signals of fruitfulness throughout an abundant life. How is this happening in one side of the world and not the other? Now, let's talk about why Mauritius, Ghana, and Kenya are at the top of every Black American's list in 2026 and beyond. Now, these countries are not three random choices that we threw together. They represent three very different but equally compelling pathways for Black American families across the world and African diaspora as a whole, because let's be honest, we're out here in Mauritius, Africa, and there's a lot of African diaspora here.
Oh yeah,
Not just Black Americans, like actual Congolese, Rwandan, Ghanaian, Nigerian, South
Cameroons.
African, Kenyan, Tanzanian. Like there is a true varied diaspora out here that has been here for years and years. It's like a secret island that most people never are even going to get the chance to see or touch foot on ever in their lives.
Hmm.
And it's because Mauritius is stable, strategic, it's global. Mauritius is one of Africa's best kept secrets. The island nation off the east coast of Africa consistently ranks as number one for doing business, political stability, and it's economically free. Number one on the continent of Africa for those segments. And of course, it offers a premium residency program for remote workers, world class healthcare, foreign investors, low crime rates, and a quality of life that rivals European destinations at just a fraction of the cost.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, the next country, I want to say three words that are going to tell you exactly what country it is if you've been paying attention: heritage, growth, return. If you know what country I'm about to say, drop its name in the comments, because obviously this is none other than Ghana. Ghana
Mm.
has been known for decades to be almost the homeland of the African diaspora who want to return to Africa. And it's not just an international headline with the year of return. They have actively decided to give citizenship to African diaspora who trace their roots to anywhere on the continent of Africa. And recently they had come out with a new program where investors used to have to put in 200,000 to 500,000 to come there and acquire residency and invest in businesses. Well, now they said all you need to invest is a whopping, are you ready for this? Just wait a minute. I got to hype you up a little bit. because all you need to invest is a whopping $0. Okay. If you have an innovative idea, if you are trying to go to Ghana, if you are trying to build your wealth there with AI, with tech, with entrepreneurship, or if you are integrating different business ideas across the board internationally, they are literally begging you
Mm,
as a foreign American to come to the country, get your residency. It could be a 5 year residency that you can transition into permanent residency and get citizenship. This is new under John Mahama, their new president in Ghana. A lot of people were looking like, okay, there's a new president. What's it going to be like? Is he going to keep the year of return? Well, he just did you one that could be a little bit better if you are an entrepreneur. Now, beyond the emotional and cultural pool, Accra is one of West Africa's actually, biggest and fastest growing cities. It has a booming tech sector, an emerging middle class, affordable real estate, and a government that genuinely wants the diaspora to come home. You can't say this about every country in Africa. Actually, you can't even say this about most countries in Africa. But Ghana, they're like, hey, we're the leaders of this movement. They're the leaders of the revolution independence movement in Africa that happened
mhm.
decades and decades ago with Kwame Nkrumah, and they are continuing to light that torch and pass it to the next generation. So, for families that are thinking about legacy, building something that lasts generations, and maybe they don't want to be too far from the States, Ghana's the perfect fit. But now we have to go to Kenya because Kenya in 2025, 2026, 2027, Kenya is on the map. The diaspora is looking at Kenya, okay? Opportunity, innovation, freedom, because Nairobi is literally the Silicon Valley of Africa. Kenya's tech ecosystem, called Silicon Savannah, has produced $1 billion startups. Yes, billion, not million, and attracted global investment at a scale that would quite frankly surprise most Americans who have never looked beyond Western headlines. Okay? Kenya offers favorable residency programs like their K2 visa, or was it the Class K visa? They have a new digital nomad program. They have retiree programs, which technically, if you're over 35, you can get their like temporary residence program where you can stay in the country for a multitude of years. And for Black entrepreneurs, investors, and family who want to be part of something that's building in East Africa, Kenya is not declining. Kenya is going to be the place to be, the Swahili coast. Now, we also need to talk about the 5 things that actually matter when you're relocating abroad, because when you're relocating to the continent of Africa, it can be very complex, but you don't have to get in touch with the lawyer right away. You don't have to go find an agent, go find somebody down the way. We're about to break it down right now. So we have 5 indexes that we look over, especially when we talk to our clients one to one and in the mature adult intensive. Okay. Number one is safety, real safety, not just statistics, because we see things are happening all across the world, especially on the continent of Africa. There are terrorist threats, there's this threat, there's healthcare threats, there's a lot of things going on. And so this is
Protests.
why you
Yeah.
want to have a multitude of residencies in Africa, having places where you're like, hey, this is going to be a safe place if something pops off here, or understanding, hey, it's going to be better for me to have temporary or permanent residence rather than trying to acquire a citizenship right away. And then, of course, you want to think about crime. Like, we don't play with crime. Like, if you are one of the cities or countries that is the most dangerous, we will not be there. And our clients typically are not there as well because they have families, they're retirees, they're entrepreneurs, and money tends to dwindle away from places that are dangerous. Number two, residency. We've spoken about this with each of the last 3 countries that we just talked about because residency is important. Not 30, 60, 90-day visa runs, not I don't have a residency here, so I can't stay for years and years and years. None of that stuff, like
It's gonna cost a lot.
actual
Yeah.
residency that goes inside of your global mobility portfolio. Clear, accessible pathways to legal status that could actually end up like Ghana, which is why it's on this list, being a citizenship, being a permanent residence. Mauritius, your residency can end up being a permanent residence that is permanent for 20 years plus renewable. In countries like Kenya, you can actually convert and get that 5 year residence through retiring in
Mhm.
Kenya at over age 35 if you make over $2,000 a month. Okay. And of course, opportunity, because nobody wants to go somewhere that does not have opportunity, especially if you have children. The economic upside is important, and you need to have room to grow. Every country on this list has strong economic opportunity. Now, this is a great time if you're like, wow, I want to understand more about this and how you guys have been in Africa for 6 years. You should
Hmm.
subscribe to members only. Like, it's $10 a month. It's much better than Netflix. It's our real life living on the continent of Africa, tracing our journey from Tanzania to Mauritius, our investments, our businesses, what we've run into, immigration, all that stuff behind the scenes. Over 100 videos. Check it out down below. There's a button that says join, and it's like, what are you waiting for? $10. If you don't like it, girl, man, sir, just cancel it next month, okay? But you want to see those first couple of videos. You want to see like the first 30 videos so you have an idea what your investments will look like on the continent of Africa for real, okay? Then we have to talk about financial freedom, the ability to actually build wealth. I'm talking like passing down trusts, passing down life insurance policies, passing down your businesses legally. Because I have to admit, I had a great family structure in which my dad passed down a lot of those great assets. And it's very important to us that we are also able to pass down those assets to our children. Because the reality is, if you're in a corrupt African country, it's going to be very difficult to pass down assets because the folks, they're going to be coming for your money, okay?
Hmm.
And then lastly, quality of life is super important as well. Feeling respected, welcomed, and like you're right at home. You don't want to feel like people come up to you and beg you for money. You don't want to feel like somebody's bribing you every single day. You don't want to feel like people are just being transactional. You want to feel like you're actually on one accord, you're equal humans, and you can get along with each other.
Yeah,
Mauritius, Ghana, and Kenya, they pretty much check every single box. Mauritius might be a little like higher on the last quality of life part, okay? But that's not a coincidence. That's why these three countries keep rising to the top of every single conversation in the Black expat community.
yeah, guys. So for me, I would say all of these countries are good countries to go to, but for me and my household, you know where we are. I would choose Mauritius over any of these countries. I know a lot of people they want to see black faces, black African faces. So that's something that rubs people the wrong way when it comes to Mauritius. But when you do the research, when you look at the history of Mauritius, guys, they went through the same stuff that or similar things that we did, to be honest.
Just with the
So
French.
yeah, it's just coming from different parts of the world, um, but it's the same kind of history. It's the same type of judgment. It's the same type of, I guess I can say like
Colonization.
yeah, yeah, like really, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I would say Mauritius is probably one of the best countries here on the continent of Africa, pretty
Yeah,
much the world. We will definitely see
yeah.
how things are going to play out in the next couple of months because it is a lot of things happening right now. So I am trying to just analyze and see how things are going to play out.
Hmm.
So yeah, guys, make sure you like the video. Leave your comments below. Share this with someone that you believe that could take some value from this. And yeah, we'll talk to you next one. Shalom.
Shalom.